Would you turn on your mic?
I will turn on my mic. So, welcome to the City Council meeting. You can't hear me. How about that? Okay, I'll move closer. So we'll call the meeting to order. If our clerk will do a roll call.
Councilmember Horn. Councilmember Connors. Councilmember Moore.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Lee.
Here.
And Mayor McCary. Thank you.
Here, thank you. Thank you for the roll call. And now for the Pledge of Allegiance, I'd like to invite Joe from the Rainbow Club to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So I didn't ask the city clerk to read the introductory notes. Sorry about that. I got ahead of myself. So we will do, I guess then we'll go to item number 4, which is presentation of ceremonial matters. If you have a copy of the agenda, we're going a little bit out of order. Our first presentation is going to be Drowning Awareness Month, and that's going to be, instead of 4.3, it'll be 4.1. So if you'll read the proclamation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. City of Laguna Woods Drowning Prevention Awareness Period, May through August 2026 proclamation. Whereas in the United States, unintentional drowning has seen a concerning rise with over 4,500 deaths each year from 2020 to 2022, marking an increase of 500 annual fatalities compared to 2019. And whereas drowning is a leading cause of injury-related deaths among children under 5 in California, with approximately 60 children in this age group losing their lives to drowning each year. And whereas for every child who dies from drowning, another 7 receive emergency care for non-fatal submersion injuries, which can result in long-term disabilities. And whereas drowning can occur silently and swiftly, often in as little as 20 to 60 seconds. And whereas drowning can occur in as little as 2 inches of water, including inflatable and built-in swimming pools, spas, bathtubs, buckets, the ocean, lakes, and anywhere else there is water. And whereas the themes of the Orange County Fire Authority's 2025 Water Safety Campaign are always watch the water and never swim alone. And whereas the Orange County Fire Authority's ABCs of Water Safety program is intended to increase public awareness regarding proper procedures to prevent the needless tragedy of drowning. Now therefore it be it resolved that the Laguna Woods City Council does hereby proclaim May through August 2026 as Drowning Awareness Prevention Period in the City of Laguna Woods, and encourages all residents, businesses, and homeowners associations to become partners in preparedness by increasing their knowledge of proper safety measures in drowning prevention. Dated this 20th day of May 2026.
Do we have someone to receive the proclamation?
I believe we do, Madam Mayor, Orange County Fire Authority.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, and members in attendance. My name is Reed Gibson. I've been your division chief for exactly 2 months now, and I have to say it's been an honor to work along with your city and your city officials. Well, Orange County Fire Authority, we have roughly 1,800 employees that work with us, and it's not just the men and women that you guys see on the fire engines and fire trucks. We're lucky enough to have people in our support staff in our community education, such as the man to my right, Milton Niera. He's going to tell you a little bit about what he does, but he is our community educator, right? And so he does all these drowning prevention programs, installs car seats, fire prevention, and just pretty much in all services here for that has to do with any type of emergencies and what we provide for the Orange County Fire Authority. So I'm gonna let him give you guys a little talk on some drowning prevention and introduce himself. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Good afternoon, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, everybody. I do have a couple of things that I would like to share with you all. First of all, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you guys to participate also, so please bear with me. I do want to give you some statistics as far as 2025 and also the current numbers for 2026. So bear with me. Some of the statistics and some of the stuff that you've just mentioned also are extremely important. So here we go. In 2025, we had a total of 94 incidents. 38 of them were fatal, 56 non-fatal. 27 out of those were ages 0 to 5 years old, and 50 and older, 30. So oftentimes we do focus on the little ones, which is great, obviously, but then older adults are also being affected by this. So part of the reason why this is so important. The numbers up to date, right, okay, here for 2026 are total of incidents 22, fatal 7, and non-fatal 14. One of them still under revision. Incidents involving children under the age of 5, 8, and incidents involving adults age 50 and older are 8 also. So the numbers are, of course, at this point equal. So I would like everybody to please, with me, we're going to go ahead and go over the ABCs of water safety. Now remember, children and adults drown without a sound, and no one should ever swim alone. So please, everybody repeat after me. Adult supervision. 1, 2, 3. Adult supervision. No one should ever swim alone, including adults. Never rely on water wings, rafts, or other swimming aids in place of U.S. Coast Guard approved, right? Okay. If you have any questions, you can also visit our website, ocfa.org. We're going to give you our number as well. And if you need any assistance in placing these and, of course, using these devices, please let us know. For B, we're going to go ahead and say barriers on 3. 1, 2, 3, everybody. Barriers. Right? Use multiple layers of protection, such as fences, gates, doors, alarms, and safety covers at all times, please. Right? Okay, be responsible. And the letter C stands for classes on 3. 1, 2, 3. Classes. Learn to swim, obviously, by taking lessons. Learn first aid, CPR. Learn about how to call 911. Let us know if you need any help. Please visit us at ocfa.org. And on behalf of the Orange County Fire Authority, thank you for your time as well. Thank you.
Okay. That was, yeah. And thank you so much. We understand that you have another commitment, so we'll just go ahead and take a motion to approve the proclamation. Proclamation. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
So the proclamation. Thank you. So we'll do a quick
for your
photo
time.
op. And do you want to do a photo op?
Sure, we
real
can do that.
quickly?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
While we're getting up, ladies and gentlemen, just want to let you know that the reason why Milton is leaving is that we're having a pop-up drowning prevention. It's at Station 57 in Aliso Viejo. So if you're free after the meeting, everybody, it's at 57 Journey in Aliso Viejo. So he's going to be doing some education over there as well. He's going to be trying on this for everybody so you guys can watch.
Okay, so we can begin. I have to apologize. I did kind of, we wanted to make sure that they made their other commitment. One of the things I did not do was have our city clerk read the opening statements about the meeting. So I wanted to make sure we could get the fire people out. So to keep us legal.
Members of the public wishing to address the City Council on items appearing on this agenda are advised to indicate their interest in doing so by submitting a speaker card to city staff or proceeding to the podium one by one at the time an item is considered. Members of the public wishing to address City Council on items not appearing on this agenda may do so during item 5. Each speaker will have the opportunity to speak up to 3 minutes, once per agenda item, unless otherwise determined by the City Council. To ensure each speaker is provided with an uninterrupted opportunity to speak for the full time allotted, members of the City Council and city staff are asked to reserve any responses they wish to make to public comments until after each speaker has completed their comments. Speakers are requested, but not required, to identify themselves both on any speaker cards or in comments testimony. Speakers are advised that their names and any information submitted on speaker cards or otherwise provided in writing to the city may be disclosed or become a matter of public record. No speaker should expect privacy of such information.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item, we'll just continue with item 4, presentation of ceremonial matters. The next one, 4.2, is Older Adult Month.
Did you want to start with the Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month?
Oh, I skipped that one. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, the Asian American Pacific Islanders Heritage Month.
City of Laguna Woods Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, May 2026 proclamation. Whereas Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have played a critical role in the social, economic, and political development of the United States. And whereas Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders are one of the fastest growing ethnic populations in the state of California. And whereas Cantonese, Chinese, Indian, Iranian, Japanese, Korean, Taiwanese, and other Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders represent more than 20% of the population in Laguna Woods. And whereas Asian American and Pacific Islander clubs and communities throughout Laguna Woods actively promote cultural heritage and understanding. And whereas Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have a proud legacy of service and dedication to our community, state, and country. Now therefore it be it resolved that the Laguna Woods City Council does hereby proclaim May 2026 as Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month in the city of Laguna Woods and encourages reflection on the accomplishments that Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have made throughout history. Dated this 20th day of May 2026.
Do we have anyone representing the Asian and Pacific Islanders? So no one represented here.
A second.
Moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. The next one is, now we can go to Older Adult Month. If you could read that proclamation, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. City of Laguna Woods Older Americans Month, May 2026 proclamation. Whereas Laguna Woods is a unique community with an average age of 75. And whereas throughout their lives, the residents of Laguna Woods have made countless contributions and sacrifices to ensure a better life for future generations. And whereas the City of Laguna Woods recognizes that older adults are trailblazers, advocating for themselves, their peers, and their communities, and paving the way for future generations. And whereas the City of Laguna Woods is committed to raising awareness about issues facing older adults and helping older adults to thrive in communities of their choice for as long as possible. And whereas our community can provide opportunities to enrich the lives of individuals of all ages by promoting and engaging in activity, wellness, and social involvement, emphasizing home and community-based services that support independent living, and ensuring that others can benefit from the contributions and experience of older adults. Now therefore it be it resolved that the Laguna Woods City Council does hereby proclaim May 2026 as Older Americans Month in the city of Laguna Woods and encourages the recognition of older adults and the people who serve them as being powerful and vital to the fabric of our country. dated this 20th day of 2026.
With the exception of me, are there any older adults in the? I couldn't help it. So is there anyone here to receive the proclamation? No. Does any council member have any remarks on the older adult, on the proclamation?
Just because I know you have a.
Oh, well, it's okay. We'll just do quick comments. You have a comment?
No, I think you said it all.
Oh. Okay, anybody from the audience? Okay, well, did I get a motion to approve the proclamation? We moved the proclamation? It's been moved and second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I can cross it off. Now, the next one is 4.4, presentation from the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village.
Do you want me to speak first, or
Read the proclamation.
We don't actually have a proclamation for this. It's, Marcy, I think your opportunity to share some information, and we do have the decal on the screen as well for anyone who wants to take a look.
All right, everybody can see the decal?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's fitting that we're coming after the proclamation for Older Americans Month. I certainly exemplify it. But what I was going to say is that the LA fires were a wake-up call for all of us. And the recent fires in California that necessitated the evacuation of some 20,000 make the issue of older adult safety paramount. The fires in LA unfortunately did result in some deaths, and those were in large measure older adults. The foundation decided we wanted to do something, realized that we really couldn't solve the problem, but we wanted the community to act as a whole to protect each other. That decal on your window lets your neighbors know that you need help. It also lets first responders know. And together we can make a difference in protecting each other. I'd like to call up Captain Anderson and Chief Gibson. I got the names right? Come. In developing this program, we did have the assistance of the Sheriff's Office and the Fire Department. We did, as gentlemen, come. I'm really not scary. I'm old, but I'm not scary. What it was and the way this project evolved, I interviewed Commander Ackerman as part of a TV series that we did called Planning for the Unpredictable. In other words, we have to be particularly well-informed and on guard for emergencies that affect our lives. And it was Commander Ackerman who supported the decal program. He bequeathed it to Captain Anderson, who's now overseeing Laguna Woods, and I had correspondence with Chief Gibson, who is also supporting the program. We want to thank the City Council because what you're doing is publicizing this, and we want as many residents who are vulnerable. And let me tell you, I walk with a cane. I understand the problem. We want them to request the decal, use the decal, and together we'll make a difference. Gentlemen, do you want to say anything? Oh, he's deferring to you first. He's the one who will knock on your door if we have to evacuate. Marcy, we have extras. Oh, yes. And if there's anybody who's here today who would like a decal, I have some and Candace has some. And I should make a point, We have members of the foundation board here, and we do have an emergency preparedness committee, and those members are here as well. We really feel that this is an important local priority.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Captain Ryan Anderson. I got here around March, so thank you all for having me here. And Commander Ackerman does say hello, and he's very invested in this program. So this is a great tool. And these are the types of tools that we need, and we need to be progressive in making sure that we use these tools to help when we do have to do an evacuation or we do have some other emergency, just to let the first responders know that we do have an occupant inside that dwelling. That's important for us to know. But what I can say is, at least from the Orange County Sheriff's Department and from my seat as the chief of Laguna Woods, we work very closely with the Orange County Fire Authority, and we even had an exercise this morning going over evacuations for fires. And a lot of these issues that you just brought up, we're talking about. We have technology, we have personnel, we have resources throughout the county that we can tap into if it's needed. So we're already making a lot of plans. And not only that, we're going through exercises to make sure that we can execute these plans with our staff. So this is a great program in addition to some of the tools that we already have. And we're going to continue to make sure that we focus on these emergency situations to make sure that we're communicating with the public, we're working with the city, we're working with our other stakeholders to make sure that it's going to be safe for everybody to get out, and hopefully quick and safe for everybody to repopulate too. So thank you for taking the initiative on this program. These things will help our community members as we move forward, and we look forward to working with the city and with OCFA to keep everybody safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. So in my preparation for this role, I was 2 months ago, I was looking online and trying to learn as much as I could about the cities that I serve. And I watched your video series on there, and I feel like I'm meeting a movie star right now. So I don't know anybody from TV. So it was nice watching you on there. I want to see what you guys had to say. And getting to meet you and working with you online on our emails regarding this is very impressive. And I thank you guys for supporting this plan and making this plan happen. In the fire department, our incident objectives are life safety, incident stabilization, and property conservation. And this helps with our key objective, which is life safety. So this is going to help us identify the people that are going to need some help and the people that, and it's nice that you will be able to have the neighbors that'll help you as well. But the quicker that we get everybody out of the houses and safe, the quicker we can do our job and help stop those fires from going with the incident stabilization piece. So thank you very much for doing that. And thank you everybody for the support for this. Thank you.
Yes, we have one more proclamation, and then we'll do a photo.
I need my two friends not to leave.
Okay. We do have another proclamation, and then we'll have comments.
So, no comments?
Oh, yeah, we can have comments on this, can't we?
Yeah, I would suggest taking comments on this item, and then you can do the next proclamation and then take a recess for photos for both.
Okay, then we'll do that.
Okay, if I may, I actually would like to make a comment on the Asian Islanders who didn't have a chance there. We're very,
We're having
very
mics.
proud and happy to have so many people in our community from so many areas of the world with their very different foods, which we have been introduced to, and their customs. In fact, I got a recipe from Pearl, her glass noodles, and I appreciate sharing that. That is the Asian American Islanders that I did want to comment. Thank them for all their contributions to our community. Older adults, obviously, we fit that. So I feel comfortable speaking as an older adult, and I know some of the challenges, not all of them, but I know many of the challenges we do face. Drowning prevention, I couldn't believe it growing up in California when I lived in Colorado for a number of years, that so many people drowned, and I didn't realize that swimming was not something that was taught. Growing up in Orange County, we were very conscious of getting swimming lessons, and I very much appreciate your continuing attention to that problem. And now we have the Laguna Woods Foundation. Obviously, where would we be without it? And we very much appreciate the time all of you give to that, and I happen to know that it's a considerable amount of thought. Thank you so much for all you do on that. I guess I'll save the last one until we have it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council?
Yeah, I would like to thank our first responders for being here. And this, I would definitely like to give a shout out to the foundation. I mean, this decal is like a communication when you can't communicate. And that's always what's missing. The first responders are there to help, you're there to help, but this tells them where. And the foundation is great. They help so many people all the time. And they do it anonymously, and they help with dentists and grocery bills and medical equipment, hearing aids, so many things that we're so lucky to have the foundation in our city. It's unique to our city, to the village, actually. And so I just want to thank you for everything that you do, and the Disaster Preparedness Task Force, because these things will all be needed someday, and so it's great to know that people are working together for this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other council comments? Well, you know, this was really good, having council comments toward the end, because it's kind of like a cumulative thing. I feel like I'm in a community now. In this meeting, it's like a community. People come and we celebrate them, and then we get to comment on it. So thank you to the foundation. Thank you to all who are represented here today. And we will move forward to our last presentation, and that is Pride Month. So if our city clerk would read the proclamation, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. City of Laguna Woods Pride Month, June 2026 proclamation. Whereas Laguna Woods draws strength and vitality from the diversity of those who live, work, visit, and otherwise contribute to our community. And whereas diversity, reason, and respect are all hallmarks of a civilized society and vital to maintaining the extraordinary character of our community. And whereas there are residents, members of the business community, and others who are a part of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community. And whereas Pride Month is an opportunity to reflect on the ways that we all come together with a commitment to mutual respect and consideration. And whereas the City of Laguna Woods opposes discrimination in all its forms and supports the fair and equitable treatment of all people. Now therefore be it resolved that the Laguna Woods City Council does hereby proclaim June 2026 as Pride Month in the City of Laguna Woods, and encourages individuals to support understanding, to fight prejudice and discrimination in their own lives, and to treat others with dignity and respect. Dated this 20th day of May, 2026.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak on this from the Pride Month? And while you're making your way up there, I just want to say June is Pride Month, but Councilwoman Connor recommended that we acknowledge it this month, because by the time we meet again, it'll be close to the end of the month. So we're honored, and thank you for suggesting that we issue this proclamation in the end of this month, May.
I think it's a great idea. Because, well, I'll just start and I'll get into why I think it's a great idea. Mayor McCary and members of the City Council, I'm Larry DeLira, representing the Rainbow Club, here on behalf of our members to say a few words about today's Pride Proclamation. This year marks 10 years since the city first issued its Pride Proclamation, adopted near the close of Pride Month in 2016, only weeks after the Pulse nightclub massacre. That first proclamation came during an especially emotional time for the LGBT community. In the years since, this annual recognition has become an important expression of support and acknowledgement of LGBTQ residents and their place in our community. For many residents, this annual recognition is more than a proclamation. It's a reminder that they are seen, welcomed, and valued in the community they call home. While many important strides have been made by and for our community, we also recognize that in today's climate, some members of the community continue to face challenges, uncertainty, and barriers that remind us that progress should never be taken for granted. And it's during times like those that these communities have an opportunity to demonstrate who they are and what values they choose to uphold. That's why your ongoing recognition of Pride Month is important and why members of the Rainbow Club and allies are here today to thank you. This proclamation reinforces the message that our city respects and values the diversity of everyone who calls Laguna Woods home. We hope this tradition continues to remind future generations that Laguna Woods is a place where everyone belongs. For continuing this recognition and support, we extend our sincere gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Any council member have comments?
I will be attending the Rainbow Club's Pride Dinner later this month, and now that we've now that we've passed the proclamation here at City Council, I will make a second formal presentation then. But if you like, I guess you could come up and receive it now as well.
Well, we'll do comments first and then come up and see.
Okay.
Any other council comments? Can I get a motion to?
I will make a brief comment.
Second.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I too, I've been on the council a number of years, and it was not the first year I was on. Council had not recognized this, and I do recognize, I think your point of when that occurred is rather historical, and I very much appreciate you bringing that up, and thanks to all of you for turning out, and we do support you. Thank you so much.
thank you. Any other council comments? Did we move the proclamation?
I'll move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Proclamation is accepted. We can do the photo ops now.
Yes.
Ah.
So you'll take a brief recess to take the photos with the foundation.
We'll do the recessing. We'll let you go first, Marcy.
Feel the same way.
Good. Okay, we will come back from the recess that I didn't call. Okay, well, thank you, everybody, for coming. Bye. Okay, now we're down to agenda item 5, which is public comments on non-agenda items.
About public comments on non-agenda items, this is the time and place for members of the public to address the City Council on items not appearing on this agenda. As a reminder, each speaker will have the opportunity to speak once for up to 3 minutes unless otherwise determined by the City Council. To ensure each speaker is provided with an uninterrupted opportunity to speak for the full time allotted, members of the City Council and City staff are asked to reserve any responses they wish to make to public comments until after each speaker has completed their comments. Please note that pursuant to state law, the City Council is unable to take action on or discuss items not appearing on this agenda, but may briefly respond to statements made or questions posed by speakers. The City Council may also refer items to City staff for follow-up or response, request the City staff report back to the City Council at a subsequent meeting concerning items, or direct City staff to place items on a future agenda.
So we do have some public comments. The first person is Rima Nashishi. Thank you.
Mayor McHarry, Mayor Pro Tem Lee, Council Members Horn, Connors, and Moore. My name is Rima Nashishibi, and I'm founder and president of Global Hope 365. It's a 501c3 nonprofit to end harmful practices towards women and girls, such as child marriage, human trafficking, and other forms of gender-based violence. I don't know if you know, but child marriage is still legal in the US in 34 out of the 50 states, and in 3 states, there's 0 minimum age, including California. All what's required in California is parental consent / coercion and judicial approval, and all the survivors we worked with, nobody has asked them at the county clerk or the justice of the peace whether they were coerced into marriage to cover sometimes the crime of rape. And so as January is Human Trafficking Prevention Month, we're proud that we received 6 awards from the City of Irvine, City of Yorba Linda, the chairman of the Orange County Board of Supervisors, all the board, and Senator Catherine Blakespear. But I'm here as a commissioner. I'm a commissioner on the Orange County Commission on the Status of Women and Girls, and we have issued our inaugural report, and Yoli has a copy for each one of you. And in the report, there's also a highlight sheet. And so I will share some of the statistics with you from that highlight sheet. Oh, I forgot. I'm also a resident of Laguna Woods.
Oh, great.
So, and we're comparing Orange County women and girls to women and girls in California. So OC women make $3,492,000 more than the average woman in California. Of Orange County women, 4% are unemployed compared to 5.5% of California women. And women in California, in Orange County, make 87 cents on the dollar a man makes. And it's 80 cents, 88 cents on the dollar that a man makes in California. 44% of Orange County women have at least a bachelor's degree, and 82% of OC girls enroll in college. Over 50% of sales office and, okay, let me go to 18.6% of OC women reported ever seriously thought of committing suicide. Memory loss, anxiety, and depression are the 3 reported behavioral health concerns of OC women over 55 plus. 74% of California of caregivers report their roles to be difficult, followed by over half reporting financial and physical difficulties.
Thank you, Ms. Nashashibi. Your time is up.
One last,
Your time is up, sorry.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
And we will consider a proclamation for next year.
Yes, we have.
Okay, I'm going to have to call point of order because we can't have a conversation back and forth. So, thank you.
I guess I also had a comment, sorry. I do appreciate, along with Cynthia, I thought it was on. I do appreciate you providing this information, and I think it would have been easier if it would have been on the agenda, because you could have had longer time to discuss it, because that you didn't have adequate time, and I understand that. Thank you for taking the time, though.
Thank you.
Certainly an important issue.
Are there any other council comments on this?
I just want to thank you for what you're doing, too. It's even more important as time goes on. It seems to get more and more important. Thank you for what you're doing.
And again, thank you for the information. Our next speaker is Vicki Johnson.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Vicki Johnson, Laguna Woods resident. A couple of quick comments. I'd like to, again, say my support for term limits because it just promotes good government. Also, I'd like to remember NACMA Day, which is usually observed on May 15th. Now, I'm talking today about the Orange County Power Authority. We've talked about that before, how in 2024 you tabled discussion of the Orange County Power Authority, which I think is especially important for seniors who can't afford extra expenses. And the Orange County Power Authority, since 2024, has lost nearly $50 million. It's rapidly raised its rates. This handout shows that the Orange County Power Authority, their lowest price plan, is now $25 a month more than SCE. $25 more. Now, what OCPA just did, this was on their website, and it had a comparison to SCE in the right-hand column. But OCPA's CEO decided that's confusing, so they took this off the website so people cannot easily see how much more expensive OCPA is than SCE. Now, more importantly for Laguna Woods, there is a CARE program that's by the state. It's to help ensure, quote, that low-income ratepayers are not jeopardized or overburdened by monthly energy prices. The CARE program, and I believe one of our city council members has said she's on this or was on that program. Now, OCPA is also charging the CARE customers $25 a month more than they would receive under SCE. So if you were with SCE, your utility bill would be like $123 on average. If you had joined OCPA, CARE customers would be paying $148, $25 per month more. So a lot more. And I'm very glad that you protected our seniors, especially by not joining the Orange County Power Authority. And I see in the audience we have a representative of Climate Action Campaign. Climate Action Campaign has been given $80,000 by OCPA to go to cities and promote it. $80,000 to Climate Action Campaign, and usually their speakers don't disclose that. So thank you again for protecting the seniors and those of us that are not on the low income but might be tomorrow from these predatory rates. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki. Next speaker, Tomas Castro.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Tomas Castro. I am a proud organizer with Climate Action Campaign, a nonprofit policy watchdog here in Orange County. And I'm here today because Orange County residents are indeed being crushed by rising electricity bills, but not from OCPA, from SoCal Edison. and I want to highlight a couple of ways that the council can intervene. Over the past decade, Edison rates have more than doubled. In fact, they have risen every single year since SoCal Edison was formed nearly a century ago. That's why 1 in 5 Edison households, including in Laguna Woods, where people are on fixed incomes, are behind on their bills by an average of $830 per month. That's SoCal Edison. Skyrocketing rates are not a fact of life or unavoidable. And we know this because Anaheim residents, who are served by a public municipal utility, pay less than half the electric rates that Edison customers pay right here in Orange County. They're saving $2,200 per year on average. That tells us these rates are not about the cost of electricity, it's about how the system is structured. But while families struggle, utility profits are soaring. In 2025, Edison became the most profitable investor-owned utility in the United States, making more than $5 billion in profit, a 200% increase in just 1 year. And in April, the company recorded another $619 million in Q1 profits. According to the company and to Reuters, that increase was due to higher rates paid by families in Laguna Woods and across Southern California. Sadly, there is no end in sight yet. There are currently 5 new Edison rate increases awaiting approval at the California Public Utilities Commission as we speak to raise our rates even more. So what can the city of Laguna Woods do about all of this? Right now, there are important reforms moving through Sacramento, especially SB 905, SB 1098, and SB 886 that would help rein in excessive utility profits and spending. This is an urgent opportunity because these bills will be heard in the Assembly Utility and Energy Committee this very month by the chair, Assemblymember Cotty Petrie Norris. A resolution from Laguna Woods supporting affordability reforms would send a strong message that protecting families from rising utility bills must be a state priority. Other cities across our region are doing this, and the impact has been significant. Voters want lower energy costs. And so I respectfully ask that this council agendize and adopt a resolution supporting these affordability reforms to stand up for Laguna Woods residents and cut utility bills for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Is this the end of public comments? I don't have another speaker card.
Like Mark has his hands up.
I don't have a speaker card for you, Mark.
He doesn't need to fill out a speaker card.
Okay, you can just come.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, I believe Mr. Mon wants to speak on item 7.12.
There's a bigger
Okay.
thing that I wanted to talk about.
Good morning.
Good
afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Laguna Woods City Council. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I wanted to commend this city council for all the great work that they've done on the fire station. I think it's Station 12 is the number for it. It's been a long haul. This is something that I believed in back in 2013. I'm a former Orange County Fire Authority PCF and always believed that closer is better. So I know it's not been easy, but you've worked really hard on it, and I'm very proud of it. You know, closer is better. That'll get people, you know, the station closer to you is always going to help. There's also a benefit to your surrounding community. Aliso Viejo will benefit, Laguna Hills will benefit by having this station here. Even Lake Forest, and also for mutual aid, Laguna Beach would possibly benefit from it because we're right next door to them. So I just wanted to thank you for all the hard work you've done on it. It's really something that I think will benefit the community widely. Now, there was another topic that I wanted to talk about. It's 7:12. I didn't want to go out of order.
You can talk about that when we get to the consent calendar. You'd have another opportunity to speak.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. That ends public comments. Any other? Does any council member have any response to any of the speakers? None? Seeing none? Okay, then we'll move right along to item Let's see, I lost my pages. The treasurer's report.
Good afternoon. I'll be presenting the treasurer's report for the month ended April 30th, 2026. General fund operating cash and investments ended at $6.8 million. The general fund reserves were at $4.6 million. Special revenue funds were at $2.6 million, with a total ending at $14 million. Cash and cash equivalents equaled $1 million. Pooled money investment accounts, which are almost 50% of total cash and investments, totaled almost $7 million, with LAIF having an ending balance of $3.3 million and CAMP with a balance of almost $3.7 million. Investments in CDs were $6,091,000, which this totals the $14,098,000. The pooled money investment accounts received interest in LAIF for the quarter ended March 31st at $34,229. And during the month of April, there were no maturities or purchases of CDs. For the trust accounts, the other post-employment benefit trust account had an ending balance of $167,174 with a net gain of $28,866. And the pension liability trust account had an ending balance of $603,000 with a net gain of $6,636. That concludes the treasurer's report. At this time, we will receive any public comments.
We're now open for public comments. Are there any public comments? Seeing none, public comments are closed. Do I have a recommendation to receive and file?
I second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. Moving on to the quarterly.
Yes. So next is the quarterly financial report for fiscal year 25-26. The general fund revenues ended at just under $5.9 million. As of March 31st, the general fund's three main revenue sources were property tax, cannabis, business tax, and sales tax. Property tax revenue totaled $1.9 million. The city receives two substantial payments of property tax revenue throughout the year, one in January and one in May. Both have been received as of today in the amount of $1,658,000 each. Cannabis business tax is the second revenue source, totaling almost $1.2 million. This represents 8 months received in the fiscal year. And sales tax is the city's third main revenue source, totaling almost $773,000. This represents 7 months received in the fiscal year. Total expenditures are expected and in line with the budget, totaling almost $5.6 million. Transfers in the amount of $2.6 million were made earlier in the fiscal year to the SMP and capital projects funds, which is consistent with city council approvals. And finally, the general fund's fund balance ended at just under $8.9 million. The capital projects funds ended with revenues in the amount of $28,783, which includes interest income. Expenditures totaled $645,000. Expenditures are as expected and in line with the budget. As of today, there are several projects in progress or in the design and engineering phase. Transfers from the general fund of almost $2.2 million was made to fund various projects in the current fiscal year. For special revenue funds, revenues totaled just under $1.6 million. Currently, we are expecting monies from reimbursable grants, so this amount will eventually grow by the end of the fiscal year. Expenditures totaled $1.9 million, and expenditures are also as expected and in line with the budget. Fund balance ended at just under 2.4 million. Interest income earned in the third quarter for all funds totaled 103,535, with a total of 395,653 in interest income earned as of March 31st, 2026. There is additional information in the agenda packet for more information on the variances or on the numbers. We will now receive any public comments.
Do we have any public comments? Please.
Well, as usual, this looks great. So, Irvine, I believe, has some more programs for the city residents that we have senior mobility. That's been great. And we have pretty good relative surplus. Are there any programs where the residents or the buildings could put solar panels? I mean, what more could we be doing with the residents? Even, a million a year, something could be beneficial for the residents. And I think other cities seem to have a lot of programs where they assist the residents.
May I comment?
I'd like the city
okay, go ahead.
manager to make a comment, and then council.
Pardon?
Or the city manager, or do you have any comments?
I'll defer to the council members.
Okay.
I just think we should understand that Irvine has financial issues, and it's a good idea to do things, but you're keeping your track on the money. And I have to say, our treasurer and our city council and our directed by these two individuals specifically, I am so proud. When I was looking at those numbers and I realized we've paid our taxes for the people who work for us, but look around us and you'll see cities in trouble. They did not. So before we do things, we should have to take care of our own duties, and I feel like we are. I think we do want to do things for the community, but taking care of our assets and taking care of our responsibilities to our employees and not winding up with, which we see some of our neighboring cities in those problems, brings our attention to say, wow, we've paid our taxes, and so we're not behind. And I am very proud to see the numbers that they both produce. Thank you for your comments. Chris, did you have a comment?
I do, but I see other hands, so I'll wait to.
We'll do, Cynthia was first and then Sherry.
There are a couple of things in response to that. For example, in our budget, we have no unfunded pension liability, and we have no debt. And other cities provide some things for their residents, and they're running at a deficit, and they're accumulating debt. So there's a trade-off there. The other thing is that we do provide programs for residents in terms of survival Red Cross, CPR classes, and other kinds of lectures and events for residents. And lastly, we have committed to the village to provide a fair amount of money to support the new the California Fire Zone 0 requirements about eliminating landscaping within 5 feet of buildings, so that we're not doling out money to individual residents for new doors or solar panels, but we are assisting the village in some of their really large ongoing expenses.
Sherry and then.
Yeah, I wanted to also touch on the grant program, but Councilmember Connors covered that so that we can help the village. But we also have great public safety, and the roads here are number one. You go into other cities, especially Irvine, well, not especially Irvine, but it's really noticeable when you go from here to there. As Councilmember Moore said, the pension liabilities and the problems that it causes for other cities. So we put out the programs like the senior mobility that we can afford and that we can then fund fully without impacting on the city. So we're really proud of the work that our treasurer and our city manager do. They keep everything moving the right direction, and we do as much as we possibly can, and that grant program will really be effective. Thank you.
My question is, on the general fund, there's a cannabis business tax and what is it? The development processing fees. Their percentage, actual percentage of budget, they've already, as of March, end of March, we've already reached 98% of the annual budget, right?
Yes, that is correct.
And yeah, so just the three of them that are really significant is that the development, processing fees, and interest, that they were reaching 75% and 72%. Now, does that mean that we were expecting to have so much revenue, but we've already reached 98% of our
Yes, that is correct.
forecasted income? Is that correct?
Yes.
So, you know, if we reach 98% by end of March, I mean, that is just really almost unbelievable. Does that mean that this industry is surpassing way more than what we are projecting it?
Yes, it is surpassing.
So those are the incomes that we did not, it's way over than what we have forecasted at the time of, yeah.
When we budgeted, we budgeted conservative because this was the second year
Yeah.
that the cannabis business.
So my question is this like this? Is this the first year it happens like this, or it has been like that for the last couple of years?
Well, this is the second year of the cannabis business retail, and like I said, we budgeted conservative because we were not exactly sure how much we were going to receive. For future, we will probably budget more for that.
Amend it, go
Yes.
up.
Yeah, I can add some context to it. So,
Yeah.
cannabis business tax is exactly what Liz said. We're still new in collecting the tax. Our kind of shared desire is to not project optimistically and raise expenses in line with that optimism, only to see it fluctuate over time. And so we were very conservative. We budgeted for cannabis business tax with an expectation that we would receive $100,000 a month. We've been receiving closer to $150,000, $160,000 a month. So that's where that overage is coming in. The other two that you mentioned, development processing fees, important to note that that's one of those spaces we can't really completely project. Those are primarily building permit and planning application fees. So if people choose to do more work or choose to redevelop properties, that number often fluctuates, but it fluctuates in line with expenditures. So as you see more revenue there, you'll see more expenditures on the general fund side as we provide the corresponding service. And so I would say that indicates more so that people are doing more to their homes, and as a result, we're doing more work related to it. And then interest, I'll just be honest and say we are always very conservative on interest. To my earlier point, we don't want to get used to receiving a level of revenue that may fluctuate, in some cases wildly in the future. And so it's not unusual for us to receive more interest than we budget. We budget an amount that we feel very comfortable bringing in so that we set expenditures in relation to that kind of right-sized amount. And if we get more, it's gravy on top, which is what's likely to happen here by the end of the year.
Yeah, so my follow-up question is that when we have these revenues that it looks like almost double of what we had planned, according to the planned budget, our revenue, if it is doubled or tripled or sometimes like that, does that funds go to a general funds and stay there, or do we come up with a new projects, or do we wait till the next budget year?
It goes to the general fund, but this is operating revenue that you're seeing on that first page in those revenue sources. In your general fund budget, there's an operating budget that corresponds to operating revenue, and then we have a whole separate section of the budget that is non-operating expenditures. So those are expenditures that, if everything comes in according to budget, we acknowledge we would be pulling from reserves to pay for. That's typically capital improvement projects. So when you have excess on the general fund operating revenue side, really what you're doing is reducing the amount that we're pulling from reserves. So it's not, just because these revenue sources are coming in over, they're really offsetting those reserve expenditures for the year more so than it's just extra cash in the bank. It will look that way budget-wise because we planned to spend something that we ended up getting more money to offset. But it's not, I wouldn't view it as like a bunch of found money that we need to rush out and spend because it's offsetting those one-time expenditures.
So it goes back to the reserve then, if there's an excess income.
Exactly,
That's
like
what
instead
it
of
is.
spending the reserves, we spend down the operating revenue first.
Thank you.
Did you have another comment?
Yeah, I did. I really appreciate you bringing that up because there are two comments related to that. One of them is a city mentioned earlier had a lot of income coming in, and they assumed that would go on forever. Anyone our age by now should know that things change. No matter how good they are, it will change, and no matter how bad it is, that too will change. So those who act in good faith and sensibly don't expect something to go on forever. They know that things will change, and what we saw nearby, they had a tremendous amount of money and decided to use it, and it turned out not to be something that lasted forever. So we have that issue. The other issue we have is a building. This was not in good shape when we purchased it, and I won't spend much time on it, but I'll let our city manager comment on it because we had some serious issues that had to be addressed.
Yeah, I think, and maybe I'll answer that more broadly, that this building is a good example. Woods End is also a good example. There are capital investments that we're able to strategically make throughout the city using the benefit of having revenue coming in over expectations that allows us to make much needed improvements, resolve deferred maintenance issues in this building and other properties that wouldn't be possible without that extra money, or would require greater levels of reserve spending, which then leads you down that kind of more dangerous rabbit hole that Councilmember Moore was talking about. So yes, we are looking to make some larger investments in this building. It's, as you know, our only public building, unless you consider the library a separate building, in which case I guess it's one of two. But we're looking to make some long overdue investments in here to make sure that it meets our needs, provides that customer experience that we're looking for. And because of the strong revenue performance, I think a significant portion of it will be funded without needing to dip quite as far into general fund reserves as we otherwise might need to. And likewise, I mentioned Woods End, just because that's the most recent project completed, but Woods End was completed with some state grant monies, but it was fully funded with general fund dollars as well. And so those kind of improvements we're fortunate to be able to make without depleting the rainy day fund, so to speak.
And before I close public comments, I just wanted to make a comment that sitting here, I noticed our timer. I don't know if anyone else noticed it besides me, but the green light was on. Usually you only have a big old clock or something, or she has her watch timer. And so I watched the green light and then the yellow light and the red light. So the speakers themselves can actually see how much time they've got left. So that's an example of, you know, a good investment in the city.
It's also got a counter, so if you're on the podium side, you see the green light when you have 3 minutes, the yellow light comes on when you have 30 seconds left, the red light and the buzzer sounds when there's 0 seconds left. But there's also a countdown timer that the speaker can see, so they'll see it go from 3 minutes down to 0, so they can better control their time.
Well, thank you for that. So hearing no other public comments, public comments are closed. It's been moved that we
We'll need a motion in a second.
I'll move the report.
Okay, moved in second. Any opposition? None? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next item is operating budget.
Okay, so last year, after the budget and work plan was adopted by City Council, we submitted the budget to the California Society of Municipal Finance Officers for its budget award program. And we are pleased to announce that the City of Laguna Woods received the Operating Budget Excellence Award for its fiscal year's 2025-27 operating budget. The operating budget is where the City of Laguna Woods budgets property tax, sales tax, cannabis business tax, Measure M2 proceeds, and other funds that support day-to-day operations, including the Orange County Sheriff's Department's law enforcement services, building safety services, public road and park maintenance services, and the free notary document shredding services available to residents at Laguna Woods City Hall.
Just to clarify, this is the press release that we issued on the subject.
The California of Municipal Finance Officers is a statewide organization that serves local government finance professionals. The Operating Budget Excellence Award is earned by cities and other jurisdictions that meet certain best practices for robust, well-structured, and transparent operating budgets. 2 levels of awards are bestowed, with the Operating Budget Excellence Award being the highest of the levels. The City of Laguna Woods is proud to have a balanced operating budget free of debt service obligations, said Christopher Macon, Laguna Woods City Manager. City practices from the California Society of Municipal Finance Officers are among the tools we use to ensure our financial decision-making is responsible, prudent, and accessible to taxpayers. The City of Laguna Woods has received the Operating Budget Excellence Award for every fiscal year, beginning with fiscal year 2015-2016. At this time, we will receive public comments.
Any public comments? Please.
So this is great also. So cities free of debt service obligations. How many such cities are there?
There are 400 and some odd cities in the state, and there's 34 in Orange County. So I don't know how many of them are free of debt service obligations, but I would guess that it's a relatively small number.
Did you?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's very gratifying that the hard work of our staff and the careful planning is recognized. But frankly, I'm not surprised. That's it. I expect this from you guys now.
And I'd like to point out that it's since 2015, so this is on an ongoing thing, which doesn't make it boring, but it is definitely something to be proud of. You make us all proud. Thank you.
And I'd just like to add my thanks and gratitude and hope the press gets a hold of this and the rest of the city gets to be informed about this. So thank you. And this ends public comments. So we have a recommendation to receive. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Thank you. Carries. The next item is our consent calendar, and I'll turn it over to our city manager.
Thank you. I'm going to read the consent calendar note real quick since Yoli's on her feet, and then I have a brief adjustment to the consent calendar, and then I know at least one council member wants to make some comments about the consent calendar. All items appearing on the consent calendar are considered by the city manager to be routine and will be enacted by one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the city council or city staff requests that specific items be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and consideration of action. Members of the public may address the city council on any item appearing on the consent calendar at the time the item is considered, regardless of whether or not the item has been removed from the consent calendar. Items that are removed from the consent calendar will be considered after the items remaining on the consent calendar. One quick adjustment to this. I'd like to pull item 7.3, that's the Animal Control and Shelter Services Agreement. The respective city attorneys for Laguna Beach and Laguna Woods were refining some of the language earlier today. We have some changes to make to it, so we'll include it on your June 17th agenda instead of today. So I'd like to eliminate that one. And then we have at least one member of the public who wants to make some comments. Maybe we'll do that first, and then I think Councilmember Moore has some comments to make as well.
Thank you again for allowing me to speak. Oh, congratulations on your being in the finance world. That's a great accomplishment, so great job, all the way back to 2015. So I've been a resident of Laguna Woods for 17 years, and I've been on the board of directors at El Toro Water District for 11. And I just wanted to say how great we've worked together on a lot of different projects. We've really accomplished a lot for our community, you know, and including for back to the station, El Toro was helpful in getting the driveway that we have going to our water tanks, allowing the fire OCFA to use that to take their apparatus and put it back into the, I call it the barn or the station. So anyways, we love working with you guys, and I'm hoping that there's more we can do together with you. I know you're working on the surveillance cameras at our Oso lift station. We'd like to help you with anything. You know, I'm a big fan of CCTV and surveillance, because not only does it prevent many crimes because people know they're being watched, but it also can help you if you ever have to, you know, in a liability case, you can prove that you weren't responsible for something. So I just wanted to mention that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and then I think Councilmember Moore had some, if there aren't any other public comments.
I didn't want to withdraw this, but I did want to comment on actually it's the same area, the two things, the Oso lift station camera.
Oh, sorry. Would you click your mic on?
Your mic.
I'm sorry, is that off? Okay, as well as the Woods End, the trailhead, the sign there, one of the concerns that we have is that we want lighting to see the signs, but we also didn't want to disturb the wildlife, because too much light is usually a problem for wildlife. They don't see the way we do. And those lights, if you take a moment and look, they illuminate the what do you call that? The monument sign itself without adding that extra light. I have to give you credit for following through on that, because that was a concern. You can see that those look like they're holding up the sign at underneath of, they're on the ground. The sign rests on the ground. Those two clumps of concrete are actually lights that will reflect up on the sign without adding extra light. So I was really impressed with the way that was handled. Thank you so much, as well as the other items on the consent calendar. So I move the consent calendar.
Okay.
I'll second that. That's without item 7.3.
With
Yeah.
the consent
Correct.
without item 7.3. Okay, moved in second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. And, okay, the consent calendar. We have a lot on the consent calendar. So the next is
Item 8.1.
8.1. Chris, you're way ahead.
So this is conditional use permit CUP-2025-0007. Just for orientation, before we get into the report, the building that we're talking about today, people know it by different names. It's the one on the screen. Some people refer to it as the Garden Building. The brokers, I believe, refer to it as the Garden Office Building. But it's this building at kind of the intersection of El Toro Road and Calle Sonora, kind of perpendicular to the community center in the town center shopping center. So this particular project, I want to start by saying there is no change in use proposed. This is merely a change to the approved parking plan for the property. So you can see in the exhibit on the left there, and it's included in your agenda packet as well, That garden building sits on a parcel that's outlined in yellow there that's very irregularly shaped. The area within that yellow line is what's actually on the parcel of this building and the parking plan that we're talking about modifying today. So this property is owned by an LLC, Juniper Town Center PB. The applicant is an individual with Cox Castle and Nicholson LLP on behalf of the property owner. And the specific request here is to amend a planning application that the County of Orange approved prior to the city's incorporation, referred to as PA 99-0027. Long story short, well, before I get into the specifics of it, let me just say what we always say, that conditional use permits run with the land, so they would apply to the applicant's use of the property and also any eligible successors at the project location. Long story short, there's an approved parking plan that the county approved in 1999. At some point subsequent to the approval of that plan, changes were made to the parking lot. And so the striping that is existing on site today does not comply with the 1999 approval. We became aware of this based on a complaint from a resident related to accessible parking. This conditional use permit would resolve the inconsistency between that 1999 approval, what exists out there currently, and then the parking that is required by current codes. So the goal obviously is to ensure that the site provides adequate parking for the uses on site. So the changes are minimal. I'm going to talk about them and then I'll show you an exhibit in a moment that shows you them. But there are two parking areas on this building. One is the conventional surface parking lot that sits outside
Chris,
the building.
your mic is humming. Somebody's humming.
Josh, would we turn down the volume just a little bit? I think that's the issue. The surface parking lot that sits outside the building, and then there's a parking structure that is the first level of that building. So it's ground level, but it sits underneath the two-story office building. So in the open air surface parking lot, they're looking to convert 3 standard parking stalls into 4 alternative vehicle parking stalls. Those are the parking stalls sized for golf carts. And then in that conversion, they end up with a little bit of excess space that would be hatched out as a no parking area. Within the parking structure itself, there's 2 standard parking stalls that would be converted to accessible parking stalls. And in one of those cases, there would be a striped out blue access aisle placed next to it. This project has staff support, subject to conditions of approval that are included in your agenda packet. This exhibit on the screen here, let me orient you first. On the right side is El Toro Road. Kind of at the bottom of the screen, just off the screen, would be Calle Sonora. The Laguna Woods Village Community Center would be in the upper left, just off the screen. And then the red outline is the building and the parking structure itself. So I know this is small, but I'm gonna kind of walk you through the three affected areas. In the open air parking lot, where my cursor is over here and where that upper yellow box is, that shows the change that's proposed. So this shows 4 alternative vehicle parking spaces and a hatched out area. Right now, there are 3 standard parking stalls in that location. So these would be spaces located fairly close to the community center. Underneath the building in that parking structure, so inside this red area, where you see these yellow boxes and the arrow that points to them, you'll see that there's a new accessible parking space. And in the case of this one at what I guess would be the eastern side of that parking structure, you can see that there's a hatched out area that would be added there as well. There is some existing accessible parking over here in the lower right where my cursor is. One of those spaces would be converted from a standard space to an accessible space. These are the parking spaces nearest the elevator, which is accessible right across that drive aisle there. So there is no again, structural change. The only change would be to striping and the associated signage on the property. But this brings them back into compliance with an approved parking plan. So there's an opportunity for a public hearing today. If anybody would like to provide public testimony, they're able to. After you take that public testimony, staff's recommendation would be to close the public hearing and then adopt a resolution titled "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Laguna Woods, California, approving conditional use permit CUP-2025-0007 to amend planning application PA99-0027 to allow for the modification of pavement striping, markings, and legends, as well as the installation of related signage within an existing parking lot and parking structure to increase the number of accessible and alternative vehicle parking stalls, resulting in a net increase of 1 parking stall at 24361 El Toro Road, Laguna Woods, California, 92637, and determining and certifying that the ordinance, I'm sorry, that should read resolution, and determining and certifying that the resolution is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. With that, I would encourage you to open the public hearing and accept any public testimony.
Public hearing is now open. Any comments or testimony from the public? Hearing none. Public hearing is closed. Okay.
Chris, I want to know if you had to take a special class to learn how to put all of that in one sentence.
It's the beauty of commas and semicolons. You just keep extending and extending.
I know it's not the longest one.
Yeah, it doesn't split slides, so we still have a leg up on that. Any questions?
Oh, go ahead.
I move the resolution.
I second.
Moved and second. All in favor? No opposition, so it carries.
All right.
Did I
Thank you very
close
much.
public comments? I did I? I did. Okay, the next item is City Council.
Accessory dwelling units ordinance, item
Public
8.2. This one I think is also pretty straightforward. So state law, state housing law in particular, includes quite a few regulations related to accessory dwelling units, which are those kind of second structures. They can be either on the same property and standalone or constructed within an existing property. They're referred to, depending on the construction type and what amenities they include, as either accessory dwelling units or junior accessory dwelling units. So we don't have any of these in Laguna Woods, and my understanding is that's largely driven by the unique manner of ownership inside Laguna Woods Village. But irrespective of that, the State Department of Housing and Community Development requires us to maintain this ordinance on our books. We received a letter from them in December indicating that they became aware that our ordinance had not been updated since 2020. There had been some changes to state law since then. We engaged in a technical assistance process with them, made modifications to the ordinance. Those are before you today. So essentially, this ordinance just seeks to make our regulations clear and consistent with state law, and by doing so, clarify and enhance the ease of use and application of the regulations. While this, in general, doesn't apply now, it could apply in the future if new housing were developed. But one way or another, this is a regulatory exercise that we're required to go through. I want to emphasize that the city is required to comply with state law regardless of what's in our municipal code. So adopting these regulations today does not actually change the fact that if we received an application that met the requirements and included the requisite approvals, we would be required to issue those permits. So this ordinance does not require the development of ADUs, nor does it interfere with anything existing in state law that gives private property owners and homeowners associations the ability to regulate or prohibit ADUs in certain circumstances. So all this is doing is aligning our ordinance with existing state law. I am not planning to go through the intricacies of all of the changes just because of the kind of lack of present day relevance to us, but we have included a red line version of the ordinance in your agenda report so you can see the changes from existing to proposed. So with this, we again would encourage you to conduct a public hearing, and then after you accept testimony and close the public hearing, we would recommend that you approve the introduction and first reading of an ordinance read by title with further reading waived, titled An Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Laguna Woods, California, amending sections 13.06.010 and 13.26.230 of the Laguna Woods Municipal Code pertaining to accessory dwelling units and junior accessory dwelling units, and determining and certifying that the ordinance is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. With that, I would ask that you open the public hearing.
Public hearings now open. Public hearings closed. I have a question, Chris. As you were reading this, a thought just occurred to me. Businesses like the churches, they're not zoned for, do they qualify, or can they apply for a permit, or what would they need to add some ADU?
They couldn't apply for an accessory dwelling unit permit because there's no primary dwelling unit on those properties currently. But I will say that the housing element required us to modify our zoning to allow for the potential future development of housing on church sites. And so each of the church locations, they theoretically could construct housing units there, and then depending on how they constructed those housing units, the occupants or the owners of those housing units could theoretically create accessory dwelling units or junior accessory dwelling units. It would just depend on the nature of construction, but basically they wouldn't be able to go through this ordinance until they had housing units already there. You can't be accessory to something that doesn't exist yet.
Additional if you don't have one.
Right.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Chris.
As Chris said, this really has no effect on any of our HOAs because the property that is not occupied by existing housing is commonly owned. And I think it would be extremely complex for them to authorize any other dwelling units to be built on common land. And as for the rest of it, the state law applies whether it's in our ordinance or not. And it's just always a good idea for us to clean up our local regulations and ordinances so they line up with state law. So I'm appreciative that we're doing this now. And I move the resolution.
I second.
Okay.
Ordinance. I move the ordinance.
Ordinance.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Okay, so moved to second. All in favor? No opposed? Okay, the ordinance is approved. Okay, so now can we go to item 9?
Yes, item 9.1, public participation in city meetings and events. If there's a theme to this meeting, I think this item and the next item both focus on transparency and public participation. This first item is in direct response to a change in state law that was approved last year. So you've likely heard about Senate Bill 707. It makes some significant and sweeping changes to the Brown Act, which is the state of California's open meeting laws that the city is subject to. Some of the changes in Senate Bill 707 have already taken effect. Others take effect on July 1st of this year. So the two most notable changes, and where I wanted to focus today's discussion, is that starting July 1, we'll be required to accept remote public comments and testimony via Zoom. If you recall, we accepted remote comments using Zoom for, I want to say it was about 2 years, maybe a little bit under, during COVID. We'll have a return to that. And then there's a requirement in SB 707 that requires us to also activate Zoom's automatic captioning feature. So the captioning that you see on the screen, like you can see it on the right in the small box there, that is live captioning. There's a live captionist that we contract with who provides those captions. Zoom has an automatic captioning function that I imagine functions in like an AI fashion. We will be required to turn it on. We will continue to provide the live captioning. Live captioning tends to be more accurate, and I think it's more consistent with how disability advocacy groups view accommodations under the Americans with Disabilities Act. But nevertheless, we will turn on Zoom's captioning as well so that we meet that state requirement. I wanted to talk about two things. One is I view it as an inevitability that with offering remote public comments and testimony, we will unfortunately be subject to what I will politely term intentionally inflammatory comments and testimony. There are individuals who, for varying reasons, from amusement to monetization to looking for legal challenges to file, use public comments and testimony opportunities provided through Zoom to make incendiary, intentionally upsetting comments. The city attorney can weigh in on this if you have more specific questions as well. I know she's been in meetings where this has happened, and many surrounding cities have also experienced this. The reality is that when that so-called Zoom bombing happens, the speaker likely has a legal right to make those comments. Whether or not they sit well with us is a different matter, but we will not be able to turn off their microphone or stop them from speaking just because we find what they're saying to be disagreeable, upsetting, offensive, any of those type of things. The way that we can most effectively manage our way through that is by applying public comment restrictions uniformly and consistently across in-person speakers, written public commenters, and remote public commenters. So in other words, thinking of it in the simplest way possible, if everyone has a chance to speak once per agenda item for a certain number of minutes, that means when we get to that certain number of minutes with the remote public commenters, we can end the commenting. If we allow in-person commenters to speak multiple times on an item to exceed their time limits, we have to extend that same courtesy to people who might seek to abuse the courtesy. So we have developed a guide for public participation that's included in your agenda packet. I'm going to go through that a little bit more on the next slide, but it seeks to standardize our public comment and testimony procedures to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to speak and to limit the opportunity for people to abuse the system. Having said that, I want to flag an issue for you that remote public commenters are able to operate with a significant degree of anonymity. And so if somebody logs in, makes their comments, logs out, and logs back in using a different username, there's no way for us to substantiate that that is a separate speaker. So they would get 3 minutes. Unfortunately, that's a little bit of a disconnect between, we can see if somebody in the audience gets up twice, we can't really see the same on Zoom. So that's just a reality of the way that the law works at the moment. I imagine there will be refinements to SB 707 made over time, especially as people get into accepting these comments again. Second thing is, I want to be clear that there will be public commenters participating by Zoom that you will be able to understand better and worse than others. The best way I can describe this is by encouraging you to think about if you're on the phone with someone and their connection is bad. Their speaking may be garbled, they may cut in and out, you may not be able to plainly understand them. You on the other end of the phone, there's nothing you can do about that, right? They have to get to a place with better signal. And so there are any number of things, once we accept remote public comments, that could affect the audibility of those comments that have nothing to do with us. We're not in their home, we're not in their car with them, so we don't know if their equipment is working properly, if they're close enough to the microphone, if they're speaking clearly, if they're enunciating, if they're turning away from the microphone, if their reception is bad, if they're speaking to us through a computer, they're doing so over the internet. If they have a bad connection, it's gonna result in poor quality here. So I just wanted to make you aware of those things as we re-enter this public comment space. As I said, we've included a document that we would plan to update and publish with each agenda packet that provides members of the public with very clear direction and information on how to participate in the meeting, whether in person, remotely, or in writing. The document includes some frequently asked questions. It includes specific instructions for how to log on to the Zoom platform, how to submit comments in writing. If you're here in the audience, how to indicate your desire to speak. It includes instructions on if you don't want to speak in the meeting, but you do want to listen to the meeting or you want to watch the meeting, how you can do that. If you need to view captioning, it includes information on how captioning is provided for the meeting. One of the things I'll talk about in a moment in a little greater depth, it includes instructions on how the city will respond if the internet service or the telephone service goes down and prevents us from accepting remote public comments. And then there's some information in there about the Americans with Disabilities Act and how members of the public can challenge your quasi-adjudicative decision-making. One of the specific requirements in SB 707 is that the City Council prior to July 1st has to adopt a policy for what happens if technology fails us and we are unable to allow people to provide public comments and testimony remotely. There is a very prescriptive process included in SB 707, and we've integrated that into the proposed policy that's included in your agenda packet under recommendation number 2 for this item. Long story short, if the internet service goes down, we can't take the comments, you have an opportunity to either adjourn the meeting and pick it back up at some later time. We would renotice the meeting and so forth. Or you have to take at least an hour break unless the internet service comes up earlier than that. And we have to make reasonable attempts to restore the internet service. Now, I will say that the policy satisfies the legal requirement for this. In practice, if this situation occurs and there's that disruption of remote public commenters, my advice to you will almost certainly be to adjourn the meeting and pick it back up again later. We can make all the reasonable attempts to restore internet service that we would like, but just like when it goes out at our homes, it's ultimately an internet service provider issue. It's very unlikely that the cause is anything we have control over, so rather than wait around for an hour, I would probably advise you just to adjourn the meeting. I would also say, though, that we use voice over internet protocol for City Hall. So when remote public commenters are providing public comments, they're not going to do so on a telephone line in the building. They may be on a telephone at home, but everything here flows through the internet. We have a primary and a redundant internet connection. So for our internet to go down, it has to be a pretty systemic failure where we lose the primary, and when it rolls over to the redundant system, that's gone too. One of those is satellite-based, so it seems unlikely that that's going to occur, but it's a part of the recommendation because state law requires it to be a policy that we adopt. The third part of the recommendation today, as we've been looking more broadly at all of this public participation, the changes and the enhancements we can make, we would like to replace this lectern in the council chambers. This is not an ADA-style lectern. It doesn't adjust to meet the needs of people with varying abilities. And so we'd like to purchase an ADA-style lectern that both raises and lowers, and then also extends outward to provide a desk surface for individuals in wheelchairs or individuals who need to be seated while providing public comments. And that's all just in the spirit of being able to accommodate the needs of our residents and maximize the kind of functionality and comfort of the podium that we provide here at City Hall. So our recommendations are in 3 parts. You're welcome to take them all together or separately. The first one, I'm not looking for any specific direction, but if you wish to provide me with any specific direction, you certainly can. Otherwise, we're planning to move forward with a soft launch of these procedures next month so that we can kind of road test it before it becomes a requirement on July 1st. But the two things I would like a motion and a vote on would be to adopt a resolution titled "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Laguna Woods, California, adopting Administrative Policy 1.4 pertaining to the disruption of telephonic or internet service during meetings of the City Council in accordance with California Government Code Section 54953.4. And then, as permitted by Laguna Woods Municipal Code Section 3.06.100 subsection B, waive the competitive bidding requirements set forth in Laguna Woods Municipal Code Section 3.06.040 for the purchase of a semi-custom Americans with Disabilities Act ADA-style accessible lectern for use during city meetings and events from Key Code Media Incorporated, and authorize the city manager to make such purchase in an amount not to exceed $13,000. I would note that we're not asking for new appropriations today. Your existing budget can accommodate what we're recommending. So at this point, I'd recommend that you take any public comments, and then I'd be happy to answer any council questions.
We're open for public comments, please.
I have a lot to say. We're great pigs more successful. I actually, with a partner in Fountain Valley, because I could not hear there, we went through an ADA mediation to improve accessibility for the hard of hearing. It was a very interesting process with the city attorney. So for one Zoom, you can have very much larger captions on the side. So I'm often sort of out of it because the captioning's too small.
Yeah.
Another accommodation is in Irvine, other places, you can take a microphone, a staff person, to the person who's having difficulty getting out of the chair.
Yes.
Okay. With respect to Zoom, and this is what Fountain Valley did, another, which you could provide, not only Zoom, put these on YouTube Live, and there are translations. We have many Koreans, many Chinese, maybe Spanish, so someone could listen to City Council with captioning in multiple languages through YouTube, as does Fountain Valley. Also, Fountain Valley, for a while, they even brought an interpreter for like Vietnamese people, and they could have a headset. There's so much that could be done, and I think this is way overdue, because personally, I love city council meetings. I go to a lot of them, and I think there's a lot of people at home would know more about what's happening and learn more about you and what the city's doing. So I'm all for this, but please consider YouTube as the second option. Also, Irvine, it's pretty frustrating. And yes, you may be more personally attacked through a Zoom comment, but I've never heard of just an outright profanity, crazy thing in the many, many city council meetings I've been to or been in on the Zoom. One thing Irvine does quite annoying, because they can have 30 people in the Zoom queue. They'll say, well, we're accepting public comments, and you raise your little Zoom hand. Okay, the queue's closed. You have to be listening, and within 15 seconds, raise your little Zoom hand, or because there's so many. So you can limit to 30 minutes the number of Zoom comments. You can make them 90 seconds if they're, you can look at all of Irvine's procedures. If we have more than 18, if we have more than 30, 90-second comments, 1-minute comments, and sometimes they're an hour, sometimes they're 2 hours of public comments in person and Zoom. But the idea of just getting more people interested, and I hope you'll put an article in the Globe about this new facility. So hopefully we'll have some more enthusiasts out here. Thank you.
Thank you. I see we have another public comment.
And then I can respond to public comments afterwards as well.
I'm really pleased that you're doing this. We've been doing this at the Water District for the last at least 4 or 5 years. And so all of our meetings are televised this way. And in fact, during the meeting, we can see who's in attendance, because Carol's often at our meeting. We got a meeting next Tuesday morning. You're welcome to join us at 7:30 in the morning. Okay, and go online on Zoom. We open it up for anybody who wishes to comment and raise your hand. And as Carol knows, we encourage people to participate, but I can tell you frankly, if we have more than 2 people on attending, then maybe it's because it's 7:30 in the morning.
It is a little early.
That does make it.
That it's pleasure. And we've never had, to my knowledge, and I've been on the water board for 8 years, and where we've in Zoom for the last 5 years. We've never had anybody come on and attack. We've never had that issue. I do remember, though, when the first, back in 2000, when we started with the, with COVID, that I was at a church, I was participating with a Zoom meeting at a church, and got busted in a couple times until we figured out how to control that. So, but that was a very different circumstance. And so I'd be surprised if you had somebody zooming in on you and blowing up your meeting. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I can make a couple of comments just as a follow-up. I appreciate both public comments. I'm going to look into the captioning thing. I see what you're saying with the captioning getting restricted. I will say, yes, if somebody wants to remain in their chair, we can certainly detach the microphone and take it to them. We actually do broadcast live on YouTube. So that's already a function that exists. And then the recording of this meeting is placed on YouTube as well. So you can rewatch it with the same sort of like translation, captioning effects as well. Interpreters are available as a accommodation should somebody need it. And then, yeah, I think that wraps up my comments, but I think this is a first step. We'll undoubtedly refine the procedures over time. But like I said, we'll try to do a dry run in June, see how it goes. And then starting July, we'll make sure that we have it on and effective as required by law.
Any other comments from council?
I'll move the resolution.
Oh, I just had a comment before we move the rest. And it has to do with people Zoom bombing and making lewd comments and stuff. Every year, the League of Cities has an ethics training. And one of the things that they tell us is that if we as public officials are attacked, verbally attacked, for 3 minutes, because when people speak, they have the right to speak for 3 minutes. And we, as part of our training, is to not take this personal and allow the person for their 3 minutes. Whatever it is their right to speak, whatever it is. And so we as public officials, we know that we just have to take it with a grain of salt and not take it personal. Any other public?
I did have a comment. I agree with you. Usually when people have disagreeable statements, they're entitled to their statements. We can't take it personally. I don't have any problem with any of that. I do think having Zoom available is so handy for people who want to attend a meeting. They can't. And for example, the 7:30 meeting, once they changed, because I've attended the El Toro Water meetings for probably 20 years, and to be able to get on Zoom and not have to drive my car and be there at 7:30 is a definite improvement for me. The problem, though, there is the issue of the bombing, not because you're being wanting to make statements, but that you want to do something inappropriate that is not acceptable, and that has happened. But those tend to go in cycles. That it's popular for whatever, for somebody to do it, and then they tell their friends and they all do it. Remember, we had people coming here doing something, I can't recall, wanting to cause you to react to their camera. They would have their cell phone and and you're startled, and they could catch you in this startled thing, and suddenly you're on TikTok or whatever it is, because that can be a game. And that's the kind of thing that's part of life, and you have to deal with it. But I tend to think it goes in cycles. So hopefully we won't have the negative. I mean, just because you disagree is different from being inappropriate.
Any other council comments?
If there's a motion, I would encourage it to be for recommendations number 2 and 3 as listed on the agenda.
Can those be together, or they need to be separate?
They can be together, it looks like.
Pardon?
Yeah, they can be together.
Okay.
I'll move the 2 and 3.
I second.
Okay.
I will second that, and I'll tell the city manager.
Would you turn on your mic, sorry?
And in addition to that, you asked for council support or guidance and direction, and I would say continue to march. It all sounds good.
Thank you. So now we move.
You have a motion and a second if you want to take a vote.
We did. I thought I did. Oh, sorry. Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. No opposed. So it carries. We are down to 9.2, the Audit Committee.
All right, as I mentioned, if there's a theme to today's meeting, it's probably transparency and accountability. Historically, the City Council has at least once a year appointed a short-term committee, referred to as an ad hoc committee, to work with our auditors on items pertaining to the annual financial audit. Every couple of years, you've appointed a separate ad hoc committee to work with staff on the procurement process for auditors when their contracts come up. So we have a situation where we're looking, it's that time of year where we'd normally appoint another ad hoc committee for the annual audit. And then this is the last year of the current auditor's contract with us. So we're looking forward to going through another competitive procurement process. In doing that, we took a look at some of the best practices that exist out there for audit committees. The Government Finance Officers Association has robust best practices around this particular topic. And so what we're recommending today are a series of actions to better align our audit committee with those best practices, and in doing so, enhance transparency and public participation in that process. So probably the most significant change that we're proposing is doing away with the ad hoc construct and instead appointing a standing committee of the City Council. That standing committee would be subject to the Brown Act. So as opposed to the ad hoc committees, which have been able to meet independently outside of public view, we would instead have a standing committee that would have public meetings that would be noticed, very similar to how City Council meetings are noticed. This is, for the record, the same sort of noticing that we do around our investment policy review committee, which already functions as a standing committee and not an ad hoc committee. So meetings would generally be open to the public, it'd be subject to the Brown Act, no longer be an ad hoc committee. Instead of having 2 council members serving on the committee, we would have 3. That's a specific recommendation in the GFOA guidance. The GFOA guidance is also specific that all members of the committee should be members of the elected body, and so we've continued to limit the membership to council members. However, we think by making these meetings public, if there are residents or other individuals with subject matter expertise who want to view and provide comments and input on the process, they would have an opportunity to do so. Like we do for the Investment Policy Review Committee, we would be looking for council members to serve terms of 2 years. Those appointments are typically made in election years after the election. So for the first year, now through December, the term would be shorter. And then in December, we would look to make appointments for a 2-year term to get on the right schedule. The current ad hoc audit committee, it has historically met twice a year, once in connection with the interim field work conducted by the auditors, and once towards the end of the audit process after they've done their final field work when they're ready to finalize the audit reports. This committee would take on some additional responsibilities, which I'll talk about in a moment. As a result, we would expect them to meet at least 3 times per year. We've specified the months and the day and the time of those meetings in the agenda packet. The GFOA guidance suggests that audit committees have responsibilities broader than just the annual financial audit. So in line with their recommendations, we've expanded the scope of the audit committee to include oversight over certain internal control functions, particularly internal controls that senior management are involved in. So that would effectively mean internal controls that myself or Liz are involved in. In addition, there are a number of other agencies, other government agencies that audit the city on a regular basis. I gave some examples in the agenda packet. I think we said OCTA audits us fairly frequently on our Measure M2 dollars. The AQMD audits us on our mobile source reduction funds. But there are an assortment of audits that occur during the year that Liz and her team work on. We would build into this audit committee a receive and file component where we would use that committee to disclose the results of those audits. Again, putting more eyes on it. Liz and I have talked in the lead up to this that the city has nothing to hide. We should daylight this process as much as possible. And then finally, we would combine the recommendations to the council regarding the selection of auditors into this audit committee rather than treating that as a separate standalone committee. That would again have the benefit of how those recommendations are made occurring in the light of day. There are other changes, but we've included the draft agenda, or I'm sorry, the draft policy in your packet. The other thing that I think is helpful about this, by going to 3 members on the audit committee, that's a nice complement to the 2 members that are a part of the investment committee. It provides an opportunity, but not an obligation, for every council member to be involved in one of the 2 financial related committees, rather than saying one has 2, one has 2, and if somebody has to be the odd person out, that just is the way that it is. So we think that this is a good step forward in just taking this to the next step. We've had very clean, very successful audits, but we think moving this into the public realm is a good development. So there are 3 recommendations on this item. I do suggest that you take them separately just for ease of crafting a motion. The first recommendation, which I would suggest taking by itself, would be to adopt a resolution titled "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Laguna Woods, California, adopting Administrative Policy 1.5 pertaining to the establishment and operation of an audit committee of the City Council." This would actually adopt the policy and establish that committee. The second and third recommendations relate to appointing 3 members of the City Council to serve on the audit committee, starting today through December 31st of this year, and then designating one of those 3 members to serve as the chair and one of those 3 members to serve as the vice chair. I've suggested taking these together, and the blue language at the bottom there would be a motion with some fill in the blanks that you could make to satisfy both recommendations at the same time. So those are my recommendations. I would suggest taking public comments on this subject, then we can take council questions, and then we can work our way through what the council wanted to do in terms of motions.
Okay, we'll open for public comments. Seeing no public comments, council comments.
I have a question for Chris.
Yes.
Who is currently on the investment committee?
The investment committee is...
It's Pearl and Cynthia.
Okay. so Mayor Pro Tem Lee and Councilmember Connors. Yeah.
Me and Pearl.
Pearl.
Okay.
Yep.
In that case, I'm going to move, I'm going to open the discussion and suggest that the mayor and Carol and what's her name down there?
Yeah.
Chair.
Okay. Okay.
Did you
declined.
move the resolution? I'm sorry.
Not yet. This is still discussion.
Okay.
Okay, but Sherry declines. So either Pearl or I then would also serve on the audit committee. You want to do it, Pearl?
Would you guys till December?
Turn your
Sorry,
mics on,
Cynthia,
Tim.
would you turn on your microphone?
I'm sorry. It's on. I was just leaning back in my chair. Okay, I'm going to suggest that Carol and Pearl and Annie serve on the audit committee until December, and solicit which one of you guys wants to be president and vice president, and then someone can make a motion. Chair and vice chair.
Till December, how many times do we meet?
So between now and December, we would anticipate the committee meeting twice. One would be a special meeting because the regular meeting, or no, I'm sorry, I take that back. We switched it to June. So one would be in June, and then one would be, Liz, I don't have the policy open.
We said November after the year-end audit.
Yeah, so there would be 2 meetings of the committee. Second Wednesday I'm going to pull out the policy real quick. Sorry. I'm trying to do it off the top of my head and the meeting.
I think it's.
There's
yeah,
one
first or
in
second
June.
one.
Yes.
And
So there would be,
What time?
the meeting would be the second Wednesday of June at 2 o'clock. And I think where Pearl's going is she's not going to
I'm not going to be.
in town for that. First meeting would be the second Wednesday of June at 2 o'clock. And then the second meeting would be the second Wednesday of November at 2 o'clock. And it would be okay. You need a quorum, so only 2 of you have to be there. So if Pearl, if you wanted to be on the committee, you could just miss that first meeting.
You can Zoom.
I will be overseas.
Oh.
Yeah.
You could Zoom. Got that.
June 2nd.
Okay, so do we need a second on that recommendation?
So I think the first motion would be for the recommendation on the screen here, if that's to your liking.
I move the first resolution.
I second.
Okay, I have a question because I'm not sure where it's not a question, it's a comment. I really appreciate the fact that making this a public meeting is a really good idea. It's an opportunity for the community to be involved. We have people that may consider running for council, and they never show up for a meeting, so they may not know what's going on. And so I think making this meeting public, in addition to attending the council meeting, is an opportunity for the community to get more involved in the city.
Good point.
All right, so you have a motion and a second on that.
Motion and second, all in favor?
All right, and then the second motion, I can piece together for you in a moment. If the idea is that Pearl, Annie, and Carol are going to serve on the committee, does anybody want to make some suggestions around who will be the chair and the vice chair?
I would like Carol to be a chair.
Thank you. Okay.
And a vice chair?
I'll be the vice chair.
Okay, so then in that case.
So what is the name of this committee?
Audit committee.
Audit committee.
Yeah,
okay.
so the recommendation then, as I understand it, the motion would be to appoint Councilmember Moore to serve as chair of the audit committee, Mayor McCary to serve as vice chair of the audit committee, and Mayor Pro Tem Lee to serve as a member of the audit committee from May 20th, 2026 through December 31st, 2026.
Okay.
And the first one is the 10th of June, correct?
No, that's not what he said. June second. It's the second
we-
Wednesday in June.
The 10th, yes.
And
at
what
2
time?
o'clock.
What time?
Yep.
What time is it?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock here. Okay.
Chris, are we going to have that meeting? Because we have our interim meeting the first week of June. I don't know if the auditors will be ready for
I
June
think
10th.
we make them ready for,
Okay,
November.
just want to verify.
yeah.
And this will be publicly noticed so
Yep,
that
there'll be a posted agenda and everything.
Okay.
So do we have a motion for those appointments?
So move.
Second.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. Motion carried.
All right. Congratulations on your new appointments.
I think this is a very good idea to have it public.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Then 9.3, are we done with that?
Then we have one last item, and then I will stop talking, and we'll go to council reports. Item 9.3, Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017 project list. This is something the City Council does every year. That Road Repair and Accountability Act is more commonly known as Senate Bill 1 or SB 1. It relates to some gas tax revenues. Every year, Senate Bill 1 requires the City Council to adopt a resolution containing a list of projects that it plans to use SB 1 dollars on in the coming fiscal year. This is, for us, pretty uneventful because you adopt a 11-year capital improvement program. It already identifies those projects, but state law requires you to do this additional resolution and that it be on the discussion part of the agenda, not the consent calendar. So consistent with your capital improvement program, the resolution before you today identifies the 26-27 circulation improvement project and the pavement management project scheduled for 26-27 for this funding. That's consistent with everything we've talked about previously with the capital improvement program. So there's an opportunity for public comments today, and then our recommendation is that you adopt a resolution titled "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Laguna Woods, California, adopting a list of fiscal year 2026-27 projects proposed to receive funding from the Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017's Local Streets and Roads Funding Program, Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Account, as required by California Streets and Highways Code Section 2034, subsection A, subsection 1, and making related affirmations and authorizations." With that, there's an opportunity for public comments.
We're open for public comments. Seeing no public comments, any council comments?
No comments.
Can I get a motion to?
I move the recommended action.
Okay, moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very
carries.
much.
Okay, now we are item 10, council reports and comments. So I'll just read that.
How are you doing for time? Are you fine?
I'm good, yeah, thank you. This is a time and place for members of the City Council to provide reports on meetings attended, including but not limited to meetings of regional boards and entities to which they have been appointed to represent the City of Laguna Woods and meetings attended. I lost my place. So members of the City Council may also make other comments and announcements. So the first report is the Coastal Greenbelt Authority, which I am the city representation on that. We had a meeting just last week, and just a couple of highlights. Our city manager did do a brief presentation about the opening of the entrance into the park, and the authority members were very enthused and very appreciative of the information, and we're happy to see the park being open. So thanks you to our city manager for making that presentation to the council. The other, just one other point, when they were giving the reports from the OC Parks, they were just basically giving a general report. And one of the things that they reported was that they are seeing an increase in the number of rattlesnakes on the hiking trails. They haven't received any reports of snake bites, but they are seeing a lot more sightings of rattlesnakes. So for people that are out hiking, there are a lot more rattlesnakes this year than they normally see. And apparently they've got certain habits, like they go out and about and then they return back to their original place where they gather. So just be aware when you're out on the hiking trails, especially, that there are rattlesnakes. And that's the end of my report. We meet every other month right here in the council. So the next one is the Orange County Fire Authority.
Okay, the Fire Authority met last month on the board, and I'm really proud to say that just like we paid down our pension liability, so did they. They paid it down to 97.4% of the total that they owed, and which is a great thing because they had owed a ton of money, and hopefully they'll keep it up like that. So they paid that down. We met in Foothill, at one of their facilities in Foothill Ranch. That's a FEMA facility, one of 8 in the nation, and it's huge. Besides classrooms to meet in, they had several 18-wheelers and boats and engines and pods and medical equipment and stuff that the Red Cross would use, like cots and food and all kinds of stuff ready to go. And they maintain a rotation of like 240 people. They rotate on call, and when it's your turn, you're ready to go. So if you're called out, then you would go. They don't go very often. The last emergency they went to was the one in Texas, where they had that flooding. But it's an immense facility, and they're very well stocked for any sort of emergency that may happen. Also, we had an operations meeting this month, and many of you may have read the articles about San Diego and some of the other cities suing, the fire authorities suing because their engines took so long and they were monopolized by one vendor. And so I asked our fire authority about that, and ours has different vendors for all of its equipment, all of its engines and trucks. And in fact, now they're almost all under 4 years old, and they rotate them among all the different facilities. Like if one is here at 22, it would get used a lot. So they rotate it before it expires to some other less used fire stations so that they all last. And doing it this way, the mechanics and the parts and everyone is familiar with everything and the way everything works on the engines and the trucks, so everyone can work on them well and keep them in really tip-top working order. So we're having no problems with that. And they also had a presentation on a breathing apparatus. This thing was amazing. It's like under 30 pounds. It fits on a backpack, then it has a cylinder of air that is the way the jets fly overhead, and they can refill it with, they can do that here too. If you don't have time to get out of the field and change your cylinder, somebody can come to you and plug a hose into there and refill your cylinder. There's all kinds of sound dampening on the heads-up display. There's light pipes that transfer and automatically adjust brightness to ensure optimal visibility in all light conditions. The dual microphones, it cancels the Darth Vader kind of effect when they're talking, and the dual microphones reduce the background noise, and the microphones sense positive pressure inside the facepiece and become active. They're activated by their first breath, and because it gets so smoky and obscured, the vision in there, there's all these different ways for them to see that look like infrared, and I don't even know the names of all these different ways that they see. They call it white hot, black hot, glow, fire, ice, and royal, but it's ways to sense body heat and body temperature so that when one of their colleagues is down, the other team members can find them. And all of these electronic readings are transmitted to the truck so that somebody on the truck or watching any of these gauges can know when somebody's down. You don't have to call for help. People will be able to come and help you. And there's grab bars on the back where they can lift you and drag you. And there's lights all over it so that they'd be able to locate you in any condition. I was so impressed with this thing, and and they are refillable. The tanks, they carry like 4 or 5 extra tanks with them so that people can change them out rapidly and they can have enough air in any situation. So I was really excited about that. And and we had project updates about our temporary station that's going to be located in the Home Depot parking lot. They're going to use a double-wide trailer to be in there while they're waiting in between calls, and they anticipate opening around January 27. Ongoing delays obtaining the new Rite Aid. I guess Rite Aid had changed property and manager approvals, and so they had an approval from the past manager. They had to get a new property manager approval. And they have been collaborating with El Toro Water District and Edison for utility connections. And El Toro Water and Edison have already approved the utility plan. And the Station 12, our permanent one, is underway. The design is going on for 26 and 27. The construction will be 27 and 28. By June 2027, all required site development approvals will have to be obtained from the city. And they think that by December 31st, 2029, operation of the fire station must have commenced on the property. And their budget for it is $17,800,000, which sounds like a ton of money, but really when you compare it to all the other stations they have, it's really a lower amount, I guess because we're a small station. So that's my report.
Thank you. the Orange County mosquito and vector.
I think there was the Library Advisory Board first.
Oh, I crossed it off. Sorry, the library. I did that last time too, didn't I?
You did.
I exiled. Okay.
The library board, we did meet, and it's so darn difficult because it's right at the hour of traffic, and I don't know if, well, there is no hour, there are hours of it. It's where Culver is, where all the houses were built, and they all get on the freeway at the same time. Anyway, it's a challenge, but the point I wanted to make is that the library, it was the executive committee, because the regular meeting will be next Thursday, I think, the 28th. I can't think of her name. She's retiring. What's her name?
Yeah,
Well,
her.
it'll come
Yeah,
to us.
her.
Samantha is going to be the new librarian. I think she's taking over. It's effective. Julie Quillman. Julie is very knowledgeable, has done a great job, and Samantha will be equally as capable, I'm sure of that. The library people are so conscientious. It's just really nice to attend their meetings and see all the things that they do for the community. So Julie retires effective July, and Samantha, and I do not recall Samantha's last name, is the new librarian. So that's the main news. And she gave her report, which I will talk a little bit about it at the next, because I'm going to go to the meeting anyway. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the mosquito and vector control district.
Okay. Well, we had recommended the advisory services for the district campus redevelopment project. Then we had staff presentation on vector activity in Orange County. We also had a presentation update on operation activity in Orange County, along with the current activity, update the outreach activity in Orange County. We did have an extra meeting to go over the new budget. And one interesting thing that's coming up tomorrow is that the trustees are invited to visit the SIT lab at the campus. SIT is a sterile insect techniques. It's to mosquito control method. When the male mosquitoes were sterilized with radiation or genetic techniques, and it will slowly, gradually, the mosquito population would decrease. And the goal is to reduce the spread of mosquito-borne disease like dengue fever, malaria, Zika virus, and West Nile virus. And because of the cost involved, they are monitoring closely to see how much they want to use this method and how effective. They're still they're following up very closely, and hopefully it will be helpful to reduce the mosquito population for us all. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, when are your regular meeting dates? When does the vector control meet? Because sometimes I know you give the.
Yes, I'm meeting tomorrow.
Okay, that's what I thought. Because sometimes you
It'll
say.
be very interesting. Yes.
Okay, so the San Joaquin Hills Transportation Corridor.
Sure. The fiscal year ends at the end of this month, and so the big deal for the toll roads was that they passed their budget, which will be effective beginning June 1st. As always, the largest expense is the debt service. These roads were built with billions of dollars in borrowed money in bonds back in around 1990s. And in the beginning, they were unable to make any payments at all because they were just waiting for the roads to be built and people to start riding on them and paying tolls. So interest accrued then at a pretty good clip for the first dozen years or 20 years of these roads, but they're paying them off now. So 75% of all of the expense for the toll roads is paying on the debt service. So basically, they add up the toll revenues and some other funds that come in, and then they deduct the operating expenses, and they deduct the loan payments, and what's left is net revenue, which is unrestricted cash, and that's generally available then to self-fund our capital projects so we don't have to borrow any more money. So the biggest one is the 241-91 connector, which is a flyover, and that's out for bid, so construction should start by the end of the year. It's about $500 million. There will also be a widening project here on Highway 73. They will add one lane in each direction at the crest, because often during rush hour, we go zooming up the hill and then all of a sudden it stops. So they're going to fix that as well. The toll roads have participated in early paydown of bonds as those bonds become mature and available for paydown. And there is an opportunity in about 5 years to pay down $1 billion worth of debt. But we have to start saving up for that so that we can pay off as much of it as possible. I don't think we expect to be able to pay off the whole $1 billion, but our reserves are growing for that particular thing. We're also getting extra income from the San Bernardino County Transit Commission and the San Diego Association of Governments, because we are providing back office and telephone support for their credit card, for their toll transactions. And that is a profit center for us. It's cheaper for them to contract with us to do it because we have the software and equipment in place. It's cheaper for them to have us do it than to build it out themselves. And so that allows us to obtain extra income. And we have something approaching a letter of intent from, trying to think of the name of it, Sacramento, CARTA, Capital Area Regional Transit. And they're opening some toll roads, I think, on Interstate 80 toll lanes. And I expect that we will be handling those tolls as well. That's about all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. South Orange County Watershed.
The watershed has not been able to meet due to state withdrawal of not providing funds. It's been going on for a number of years. So right now we're waiting to see whether the watershed, there's still a cost, obviously, every time we meet, so we don't meet to save money. Because there's no money available.
There's no water coming
Yeah.
in.
Okay, that's it. So then, other comments and reports? There was an event, the Orange County Sheriff's Advisory Council had their Medal of Valor Award ceremony in April, and Mayor Pro Tem Lee and I attended, and it was really an opportunity to witness a lot of the heroic measures that the sheriff's officers actually participate in when they are out doing their regular duties, the way they save lives, the way they put themselves in harm's way to rescue people from fires. There was a rescue from someone who was in a fire. It just goes on and on about the heroic measures that these officers go through in their daily activities, and they do it with such pride and such honor and such dignity, like it's just a natural part of what they do. So it was an honor for us to represent our city in support of the Orange County Sheriff, because they really do support our community. And the event was very well attended. It was very informative, very enlightening, and I just want to say thank you to our officers that support Laguna Woods. It was really an honor to attend the luncheon.
I also attended the Medal of Valor dinner, and I was so proud of them. And the whole banquet room was filled with so much support and positive spirit, and the people listening to their testimonies. I was so impressed with their dedication and their commitment and to keep us safe, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
And the food was good. Okay, so then we have the California Joint Powers Assurance Authority.
Yeah, it was an excellent program. The program gave us an opportunity to practice what would happen if you were forced to be in front of, under a very serious circumstance. And it was very well done, very clever, and the people who are doing our television were actually participants there, so they obviously bring their experience from that. And the other part of that, so it was understanding how to respond if you had not had that experience. Frankly, I thought everyone did a very good job. There were no weaknesses in understanding what you would do if you were in a very serious circumstance and you had to respond and answer questions. So it was very well done, and put on by our JPIA. The other part of that was, it's so much fun to work with other people and meet people from other cities. And I just felt, I came back from that, I told Chris it was really nice to be around people. I felt like all the people cared, and they were people who represented their cities and wanted to do the best they could for their city. And that's kind of an enlightening thing. The other part of it, and I won't take time today because I think we want to move on, but I do want to get back to this. And I think the ADA thing, there are two very serious things going on, one having to do with that, and the second one having to do with an issue of very large payments being made from our insurance pool, and some possibilities that we need to understand what's happening and perhaps how we can support making certain we still have insurance. So those are serious things. I'll leave that for another further discussion. Since mine is the next one, I'll go ahead with the SCAG meeting. The SCAG meeting was held in Palm Desert, and it's always very well done. SCAG is, once again, another group of people that I feel are very conscientious, and I've belonged long enough now that I know most of the president, I know the people that are involved. One of the more important parts of that meeting, these students are given an opportunity to submit projects that could possibly be enacted. So here you are with these very talented young people from various schools. UCI was one well represented, and they came up with some very interesting ideas, on one of them being, and it was not only their ideas, it's really a wonderful thing to talk to the young people, find out what they're majoring in and how do they determine even what to major in, to make sure they're not taking something, they're majoring in something, and your field is really wide open, it looks to me, that's not going to be appropriate by the time they graduate. So frankly, I found that these young people are just really great to talk to. They're very skilled, and they had some really good ideas. One of them being how you separate bicyclists, because bicyclists next to traffic is not a good thing, and we know it. And so that was one of and it was one that won, actually. And then finally, the keynote speaker was on how you get your own energy up to do the things that you need to, and keep yourself up. And he was a great speaker too. So SCAG has the new president, and that was the SCAG meeting.
Huh.
And we have to ask ourselves, are they ever going to admit there's a streetcar? They don't even talk about it now. They don't anywhere.
Okay. Other comments, council comments? Okay. So the next item, 11, is closed session. While members of the public are not permitted to attend closed session, prior to convening in closed session, the council will accept public comments on items appearing on the closed session agenda. And those items are, well, I crossed it off too soon.
You can ask the city attorney.
Okay.
Would you like me to read the
Yes, please.
agenda items? Okay, there are two. 11.1 is pursuant to California Government Code Section 54957B1, a closed session to consider the annual performance evaluation of the city manager required by his employment agreement. And 11.2 is pursuant to California Government Code Section 54957.6 to confer with the city's labor negotiator, which in this case will be me, regarding the city manager who is an unrepresented employee.
Okay, so we will adjourn to closed session.
Ask for public comments first.
Oh, public comments. Any public comments on the closed session? Seeing no public comments, we will adjourn to closed session. Okay. So we have reconvened from closed session. So I'll turn it over to our city attorney.
All right, the city council met in closed session on 2 items, one pursuant to California Government Code Section 54957B1 to consider the annual performance evaluation of the city manager. The second pursuant to California Government Code Section 54957.6 to confer with its labor negotiator, which was me, regarding unrepresented employee, the city manager, and there is no reportable action on either item.
Okay, no reportable action. So that is it for this meeting. This meeting is adjourned until next
When do you
month.
return?
I return next week, Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday.
Have a nice trip.
Thank you. Tuesday. Thank you. I don't know.
Thank you so much.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, Yoli.